1.21 gigawatts. Great God!
Shall we play a game?
Would you like a jelly baby?
Engage auto systems.
Aye. Engaged.
Clear all moorings.
Cleared, sir.
1/4 impulse power.
You know how to fly, don't you?
No. Do you?
You shall not pass!
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
The Force will be with you.
Hi, and welcome to the Geek Hangout podcast. My name is Mark, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Grant. How you doing tonight, Grant?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing great. Hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Geek Hangout podcast. We're here with episode
68. 68.
I never think to look ahead of time. It's been a little while. We've ended up being quite busy as summer went.
It was mostly my fault. He contacted me like 2 weeks ago to do a show, and I never got back to him.
Well, we got busy at the end of summer, and then with the back to school and everything, it just got a little hectic. So, but we're back now. Lots of stuff has been going on since our last show. So, we'll like to start out. We'd like to say what's everybody been up. What we've been up to. So I'll throw it back to you, Mark, and say what's been going on. What have you been up to? What's been going on?
What have I been up to? So I just a quick update. I'm still playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Okay. I am more than 130 hours into this game at this point. But I'm actually, I can go and fight the final boss right now if I wanted to.
Right.
But as I mentioned before on the podcast, I like video games, but I'm not very good at them. So I'm trying to beef up my heart's, right before I head over there.
Okay,
but that's kind of where I said stay tuned for that. But I'm making progress there. I'm very happy about that. But other than that, I'm playing other games too, but that's right. My big one. But other than that, I've just been trying to keep up with everything going on. and
right.
There are a ton of shows. I'm caught up on some. I'm way behind on others. And that's been the last several weeks, is just trying to keep up with all the shows and the news, and it's just it's getting harder and harder to do it all.
Yeah, it's just there's way too much content now, and we were saying before the show, but there was a nice window there where you didn't think there'd ever be too much. It was our golden age of geek content, and we're like, this is the best thing ever. And finally caught up with me, and I know you said it too. We're kind of like, oh my
god, I gotta now I'm behind on this show. Oh
right.
My god, I gotta get caught up on that. But right. I just as an example of how far behind I am. This week I finally finished watching Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Oh, right.
And I have to tell you, I absolutely love that show. There were hits. I think some of the shows were better than others, but on the whole, the whole season was really good. The ending, the finale was fantastic.
It's been so long, I can't remember. I know the finale was like very Pike centric and focused on him, but I can't remember. I have to think about it.
It was like it was the episode where Pike, spoiler alert in case you haven't seen it, but right. It was the episode where Pike from the future. Alternate future comes to see the current Pike, and what was really cool is that episode. And I as I was watching it, I was like, I know this, right? Like all of this seems familiar, but that episode is literally a mirror of one of the original Star Trek episodes, Balance of Terror.
Oh, okay.
And it's a really, really good. It was in the first season. It was like one of the great. I still think it's like in the top 10 of the original Star Trek episodes. And it's the very first episode where they meet the Romulans. And it was and so this show is so the finale of Strange New Worlds is a retelling of that story as if Kirk wasn't the captain.
That's okay.
And that's why Pike has to not change the future, right?
Right.
And so I just today I rewatched Balance of Terror just to kind of like remind me. But it was like they did such a great job with that finale episodes, and even there were like these little homages to the original series. Like I don't know if you there's this lighting thing that they do in the original series, and I think it was a big thing in the 60s, like a big lighting technique in the 60s where the lighting, like the set would be a little bit dark, but there would be like a bright band of light across their eyes.
Right.
And there's a couple of times in the Strange New World episode where they do that, and it's a complete like I'm sure they've done that in other shows.
But I know what you mean.
Every time I see that, I immediately think of the original Star Trek series, because they used to do that all the time. And so I thought that was really cool. It's just that show is just really good. It is, yes. That's my kind of Star Trek. Strange New World is my kind. You know, we've talked before about like Discovery, and I don't hate Discovery, but I don't love it. But Star Trek Discovery or Strange New Worlds, that's my jam right there. You know,
it's funny. I read, and I can't remember now because it's been a while, but I read that basically the online consensus, and I think even the viewership numbers are sort of pulling that way, where it's like I think a lot of people are like, "This is what I want." Like, you know, this is what when I think of Star Trek, this is the show I'm interested in. So, does not to say the other shows are bad or going away or anything like that, but I think a lot of people are like, "Yes, this is what I want." You know,
And they, you know, and I love that they did Pike, and I love Anson Mount as Pike.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, he's just really good. And just as an aside, I think next week we're going to New York Comic Con.
Oh, you got right? Yeah, yes,
My family and I are going up to New York Comic Con, and Anson Mount is going to be there, and he's going to be doing autographs and photo ops and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I might just pop over there, and
if that could be pretty fun.
Yeah. So anyway,
you have to see for that, because remember when we went to Philly that time, it was like that wasn't when we were there. That was a different time. But we went and we remember the lines and all that. But remember, I think a time before us was like the Avengers were there, and that was like bananas.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You know? Yeah. So that might be something. Just make sure you know if you have to plan ahead or buy that stuff ahead of time.
Yeah,
you don't want to get up there and be like, "What do you mean? There's I'll be in line for the entire day." You know.
Yeah. So that's really good. So he's going to be also. Christopher Lloyd's going to be there. So I
saw that, yeah.
And I thought I might check out Christopher Lloyd.
I think Michael J. Fox might be there too.
Yeah, I think so. He might only be like, I think we're going Sunday, and I think he might only be there like Friday and Saturday or something like that. But I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I've only ever done Comic Cons here in the Philly area, so it'll be kind of cool to go to one.
I've been to that one probably somewhere in the 90s when I was trying to get work in comic books. I remember going up there. And I think it was like my first or second time to New York. And I like went to the train station. I actually walked to the Javits Center.
Okay.
Right. And so I have no concept now of how far it was, but I remember telling people, and they're like, "You walked?" Like, you know, I should have jumped in a cab, but you know, I was dumb and young. And I just did that.
Yeah.
But but it was, I remember being fun, and it was like packed, and there was a lot of people there, and you know, I was trying to network and all that stuff at the time. It obviously panned out really well, but
that's right. Now you're here with me on a podcast, so there you go.
There you go. Right.
So there it is.
Right.
Yeah. So so that I'll have to do. We'll have to do. Maybe I'll try to do live stream or do something fun from Comic Con. We'll see.
Yeah, especially because I think I read. I can't remember now. I'm pretty sure. I think Marvel's going to have a booth.
Yeah.
And I think DC might have a booth. I can't remember now. It's all been changed now. Back in the day, they would definitely have had something, but now it's kind of, especially with Marvel, they're hit and miss where they go and do stuff. So,
they're also premiering the trailer for the Mario movie.
That's right. I did see you posted that, right?
Yeah, I think it's Thursday, but I think Nintendo's got a presence there this
that's
time,
cool.
So it'll be kind of cool too.
That's right. It's nice to see. That's pretty cool. It's nice to see. I mean, for us anyway, for the East Coast, it's nice to see New York Comic Con getting some stuff like that, since I mean Comic-Con San Diego has become
I
such a
know.
huge. There's no comics. I mean, there's probably comics there, but it's not even about comic books anymore. And on one hand, it's nice to see a lot more of that coming to New York. I mean, I'm sure the comic book guys are a little upset, but at the same time, it's nice to see the bigger stuff coming in as well.
Yeah, we need a little love over here on the East Coast.
Yeah, right. Hey, why not?
The only other the other thing is I finally got through Stranger Things season 4.
Okay, right.
And I loved it. My wife had not seen any Stranger Things, so before we got to 4, we rewatched all 4 seasons.
Okay.
And and that was kind of cool. It was nice to watch them all back to back and then go into 4.
Right.
But Stranger Things season 4 was fantastic. It was really, really good. So I'm looking forward to the next one, whenever that could be. So
I don't even think they've started filming that yet. So I think they're actually, maybe I forget, after it ended, I think they posted something that they had started writing it or done something. So, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a little while for that.
Yeah. But
and now that's gonna be the final season then.
Season 5, yes. I thought this season was gonna be the final season, but apparently there's one more.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yes. That's
so
right.
Season 5 will be the final I say this, I think season 5 may be the final with this cast.
Yes.
Right. But I think they've set the stage to they could redo, they could continue this
definitely
universe with a different group of people, and you can have these people come back at some point. You could do all that.
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, I don't think Netflix has been shy that this is one of their main franchises at this point. And I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff. I think you'll see other people come in and like character-wise, people come and go, but I think other people will start coming into the sandbox to play. The Duffer Brothers might be like executive producers, but I think you'll start seeing a lot of other people coming in and doing they're taking their thing. So
and the cast is big enough that you can do. I mean, there's a ton of, how many people are in this cast now?
I don't know, but it's getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, but you could do all kinds of. Yeah, right. Like you could do a Murray spinoff. You could do, what I'm saying? Like you do all sorts of stuff. So
really. And then, I mean, right. You could do that. And then you could have, time jumps. I mean, they could, the hook was that it was in the 80s, but I mean, you could come back and do something in the 90s, or you could come back and do something in the present day. Or, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff you could keep doing. It's just a matter of, what they want to do, really.
Right. So I really loved season 4 of Stranger Things. So that's But other than that, I'm watching. We're not going to talk too much about it tonight. But I'm watching Lord of the Rings. I'm a little behind on that. I'm watching. What is the Game of Thrones show?
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon.
Right? I call it
the Game of Thrones show.
I've been watching it too, and I call it the same thing. I'm just like, I know it's House of the Dragon, but I mean, the first episode they didn't, but then the second episode it opens up and they're playing the Game of Thrones theme music and everything like that, and I'm like, all right, it's Game of Thrones, this is it, and that's fine. I guess they felt they had to, tie it in more, but whatever. It's good. I've been enjoying that. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. So that's where I'm at.
Okay,
what have you been up to? Anything new and exciting?
So much like you, well, I will say I turned 50 over in August, and my wife surprised me and took me to see Dave Matthews in Florida. So we took a little weekend getaway and went down and saw Dave Matthews. And I'm a big Dave Matthews fan, but mainly I just listen to him when I'm doing stuff in the yard and when I exercise outside and do different things. And I've been to I think like 2 of his other shows. I think you and I were at one of the shows.
Oh yeah, I think it's been more than. I think I've been at least 2 shows with you.
Oh, okay. So maybe I have been to more than one. That was a long time ago, and the memory's not.
I think that was I think Dave Matthews was like a yearly occurrence there for a while.
Oh, was it really?
I think I've been to 3 or 4 of his shows.
Oh, geez. Okay, maybe I was.
Yeah.
I know the one show we were in Philly. We took the ferry over to Camden.
Yes.
I have really no memory of the show itself.
And why is that great?
I couldn't imagine that. But anyway, it's been a long time since I saw them live. I'll put it that way.
Yes.
But we went down there. We had a great time, and it was fun to see them live and everything, and we had a good time. And we were in West Palm Beach, so we stayed on the beach, and it was a nice weekend getaway and stuff. We had a fun time and all that. So it was
Excellent.
I will say I forgot how hot Florida is, and this is somebody who I'm saying that as someone who likes the heat and enjoys all that. I get down there, and I was like, oh my god, it's hot. Like I just forgot. I don't know why. I mean, we were at home. I'm doing stuff out in the yard. It's like 80, 90 degrees outside. It's no big deal to me. But I got down there and you could just feel the sun that much closer. And I was like, it's hot.
And in August too. Like I always remember the very first time we took my son to Disney World.
Okay.
We went in August, and I think I hadn't been there in years, right? So I didn't.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be hot, but how hot can it be, right?
Right.
It's hot here, right?
Yeah.
And we got off the plane and we're walking out up the ramp to go into the terminal, and I was like, oh my god, right?
Yeah, right.
and I remember thinking, I was like, well, it's really hot today, but it'll get better. Right. And no, it was that hot the entire week.
So we go to the show, and first of all, the arena, the amphitheater, we saw that literally is a clone of Camden. So it's like, if you took Camden and like dropped it in Florida, we're walking in, we're like, we could be in Camden right now. There's like, it like was identical. It was crazy how, but we're like, so like we're there, it's hot. And we're like, well, the sun's going to go down. It's going to cool off. It's going to get better. Nope. It was hot the whole time. So, but I say that, but we did have a great time, and it was a lot of fun. So that was all good. So, but other than that, we did some other stuff. We saw Harry Styles in New York for the girls. We took them up to see.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you said you were going.
And as somebody who didn't think I liked Harry Styles, I had a nice time. The show was fun. The girls absolutely loved him. So that was a lot of fun. And we went up and spent a couple of days in the city and stuff, and that was fun and all that. So
always a good time.
Yeah. So, but other than that, once we got back and things started to settle down, I've been doing much the same thing, just catching up and trying to keep up with everything and stay current. And the only thing I did, and I haven't talked to you about this, I did watch, I listened to an interview podcast with Ewan McGregor, Smartless. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's Jason Bateman, Willow.
Yes,
and
I have heard of it. I haven't listened. I've never listened to it, but I've heard of it. Yes,
they had different guests on it. I have listened to it in the past, and I kind of got away from it. But I heard that on Ewan McGregor, so I'm like, oh well, let me listen to see what he had to say. And he was on. It was on after Obi-Wan Kenobi, so I guess he was sort of promoting it, but after the fact. But he really didn't even talk about Star Wars too much. But he ended up talking about he has a couple shows on Apple TV. It's him and a buddy, and they go on this. They are motorcycles. And right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, so the one's called Long Way Round, one's called Long Way Down, and one's called Long Way Up. And basically, him and his buddy get on the motorcycles, and they basically ride around the world. So, like the one they go from London all the way down across Asia, up, get on a boat, get on a plane, go to Alaska, and then go down to New York. And that's like one season of the show.
Right.
And then the next one, they go to London, and they drive down to the tip of Africa. And then the last one that just came out, they go from the tip of South America, drive up to Los Angeles.
Yes.
So anyway, I watched them all. I really, really liked them. And it was, he's obviously very entertaining. His buddy ends up being a trip, and he's very entertaining. And it's just these two guys on their motorcycles. And now they have staff and cars that are following them and stuff, but it's really about them on their bikes and just exploring, the wilderness and stuff. And I mean, they start out there on like roads, and like by the halfway through the trip, they're somewhere in Mongolia, and they're like, there aren't even roads anymore. They're like it's just a path. It's just a dirt path, and like the bikes are getting stuck, and they're going on. They end up over in Siberia. They call it the Road of Bones. They're going up, and it's like Stalin. That's where he would send people to punish them. And like these guys, basically, they built this road. So it's kind of like historical. You're learning about stuff, but it doesn't get too in deep, because it's just you're learning it as they're learning it. But they get over there, and it's really funny. Like like I said, it goes from like them being on like highway and zipping around to like no road at all, or like they're like trying to cross rivers, and they're like, we didn't realize that it was going to be, the stuff would be melted, so like they come across rivers they can't get through, so they got to figure out how to go across. And anyway, it was really good. And the Africa one was good, and then the the most recent one from South America was interesting because they were on electric motorcycles. They had
okay.
prototype electric Harley Davidson, so they're on those, and so I'm interested in like the electrical cars and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that was neat seeing them figure out, like, they're like, oh, we just can't throw gas in it. We have to figure out like how far we can go before we can charge and all that stuff.
Right. That's really cool. I
yeah.
have heard of that show before. I forget how, but
yeah.
Yeah, and in the back of my mind, I'm always like, I gotta watch that one of these days.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
You could probably get away with having it on during the day during work and stuff. I mean, I sat there and watched it, but you could definitely, just kind of keep tabs on what they're doing and stuff. But I found it really, like, those two, it's Ewan McGregor and his buddies, Charlie Boorman, I guess his name is. He's an actor, and he's some kind of presenter in London and England and stuff like that. But outside the show, I didn't recognize him. But they were a trip, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch the shows and stuff. So I found myself being like, maybe I need a motorcycle. Yeah.
Well, you are 50. You can,
right,
you can have the midlife crisis now. So
that's what I said that to Lori. I said, well, I was talking about the show a lot, and she's like, you're really into the show. And I said, well, I did turn 50. Maybe it's time to get a motorcycle.
And you can go in the garage and tinker with it, or
right.
do that stuff.
Yeah. So, but other than that, then I, just like you, I was catching up on just trying to watch everything. I've been watching Stranger Things I did earlier in the summer, but all the Star Trek stuff I'm still behind on. I never did finish Discovery.
I never even started watching it.
Yeah. And then actually I'm current. I'm actually, now I feel comfortable. I think I'm current on everything that's going on now. Like, I watched Andor this week, She-Hulk I'm caught up on, House of the Dragon I caught up on, so I'm caught up on. So but excellent. So like I said, been busy, but definitely managed to entertain and watch all this new content, so it's been pretty good.
All right, well, if that's it, do you want to move into the meat and potatoes of the show here?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's go. So I guess, first up we have D23.
This was mid-August, end of August. I don't remember what exactly it was.
Jeez, I can't either now. It's been a while.
But it's been a few weeks at least.
Right. So, so they had the thing. I can't even remember. Where was it? Was it out in Anaheim?
Yeah, it's always in Anaheim. Well, not always. Okay. I think most of the time it's in Anaheim.
Okay. So, but then Disney came out and they announced a whole, you know what it was? They had Disney Plus Day.
Yes.
And they did some things for that, like Thor came to Disney Plus and other things. And I was getting, when we were texting, I was getting that mixed up with D23. But the point of it is, a bunch of stuff hit Disney Plus, and then they went it right into D23 that weekend, I believe.
Right. I think you're right. Yes.
So, so we can get started with Marvel made a ton of announcements, and here we go.
Yeah, and like a lot of it is. Some of it we knew about,
right?
And some of it was like brand new. Like, I mean, I don't know if we want to go through all these, but like what had we not heard about? We had not heard about the Werewolf by Night. That was
I think that was a rumor, and then all of a sudden it was like boom! It was here's a trailer for it, and it's like okay, we're getting that. Secret Invasion, same thing. We got a trailer for that. That's that's Nick Fury's show with the Skrulls and all that stuff.
Right.
So, and we got a trailer for that.
Yes.
And then Ironheart.
We had heard it. We knew Ironheart was coming.
Right.
Armor Wars we knew about, but they didn't talk about it at San Diego Comic-Con. They skipped that.
Right. That's War Machine's show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. That's the one they totally skipped. But that I don't even think that they began shooting that yet. I think that's but it's in the works.
Yeah.
And then Thunderbolts, they officially announced.
Yes.
Did we know about that?
I think everybody sort of knew it was coming because they certainly telegraphed that it was.
Right. It's in the works.
But it was, so now it's like on the schedule, which I don't think now, and this is, I'm a little confused. Is this a movie or is it a show? It's a movie.
This is a movie, right?
Okay.
And so this is going to have this because they may have announced it, but this is when we found out that it's going to be
who the team is.
Yeah, Red Guardian's coming back.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised by that.
I was.
I'm glad, but I was surprised.
Me too, because I like David Harbour a lot, and I really like this character. So. But and then after hit, and then Bucky's going to be in it.
Yeah,
the Winter Soldier. So those two are coming back, and I kind of like that because I like both of those characters. And then it's going to be everybody else that we kind of anticipated, like
U.S. Agent.
U.S. Agent, Yelena's Black Widow. I don't know what I don't know what her code name is, but the Ghost from Ant-Man. What was what? Yeah, Ghost, right?
I think it was just Ghost. Yeah.
Oh, and then from Black Widow, Taskmaster. That looks like she'll be in it.
Yes.
I feel like I'm blanking on somebody else is going to be in it too. I can't remember.
We should have had the picture. I didn't think about
it. I know. So, but anyway, so it's going to be all those characters. Oh, and then I always forget her comic one. Elaine. Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Right. So she'll be a main character and stuff too. So obviously we're going to see the team she's been sort of secretly forming behind the scenes is going to come to the front. So a lot of people have been saying, because in the comics it was Baron Nemo's team, and that was sort of where it came from in the comics. Everyone's sort of trying to guess how the movie's going to go. Is it going to be just in name only, or is he going to have a part to play? And
I would think they would bring. Yeah, I remember. I was thinking that. Like, I was like, "Where's Baron Zemo in this whole thing?" Because he's still around. There's really no.
Right. I think I called him Nemo. Yeah, Zemo.
Yeah, he should be. He should be like with the mask.
And maybe that. Yes, and maybe that's going to be part of the surprise. Something like that. But but so I'm looking forward to that. And I believe we're a little ill prepared. I believe that Thunderbolts isn't that the one? Isn't that right before the lead into Avengers then? Well, like the new Avengers movies.
I don't know.
I don't either. Here, I don't know. I have a thing here, and I can.
We should know this, but I don't know.
I do have a standby. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, almost there. No, okay. Oh, it's Thunderbolts closes out phase 5, and then phase 6 is when Fantastic Four starts. Was that right?
Oh, okay.
I remember them doing a Comic-Con the phases, and I think Thunderbolts closes one, and then the Fantastic Four launches the next one. I believe that's what it was.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four is like the first movie in one of the phases. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but anyway, so there's Thunderbolts. Marvels we knew about. Daredevil was obviously been heavily rumored, but I believe that was did they confirm that at Comic-Con?
I think they confirmed it at Comic-Con too.
And maybe we just got the logo. Maybe that's what it was.
Or the name or something.
It's all blurring together now, right?
Yeah.
And then Echo, we knew about that. And then Captain America, we knew about that, right?
Right.
Okay.
But they brought out, I think the big news for the Captain America, well, not the big news, but news for Captain
that's
America.
right.
They brought out the guy who plays Isaiah Bradley, who's
yes, I forgot.
Because nobody really knows anything or knew anything about this movie, so then they kind of gave you some hints about what the movie's going to be about. They brought out Isaiah Bradley, which I thought was really cool.
Yes, because we remember he was one of the highlights of the show. We really liked him. I remember. Yeah.
And I was happy to see that.
And they brought out so it's like a really callback to the Incredible Hulk movie. They brought out the guy that played the leader from the Incredible Hulk movie. So apparently in the Incredible Hulk movie at the very, I think it might be an end credit scene.
I remember that. Yeah. And his head's like.
Yeah. So the Hulk's main bad guy from the comics is the leader. And I remember him having I'm going to do it in my picture here, but he has a big oblong head, but it's like a brain. And I think it's become more and more exaggerated as time has gone on. Basically he's got this big, brain head or whatever. But at the end of the Incredible Hulk movie, as the end credit scene, I think you see that guy get something, basically alludes to the fact that the leader's coming. And I had totally forgotten about it. You know what I mean? I remember him from some of the comics I read, but I totally forgot. And so they brought that same actor out on stage to say he'll be back in the Captain America movie, which I found very interesting. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I remember because he helps create Abomination. And then after creating Abomination, I think Abomination goes crazy and he gets knocked to the floor and some of the serum drips on him or something.
Okay.
And then his head starts throbbing. I remember that. And then that's all I think that's all they show. They just show that and then they go away. And I'm like, oh, I know what that is.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, yeah, because they're really going back to the Hulk movie now, because between the leader and then they brought back the Abomination and
Yeah. And She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, right? Yeah. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, the Hulk's gonna have he's gonna have to get his own movie again, you would think. But I think there's still legal tie-ups there,
Yeah.
entanglements. But yeah, the way they're going though, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. There's definitely some deep cuts there.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, I think that that's everything they announced.
I mean, we could see. That's not what I wanted to say. Do we want to watch? We'll run some of the trailers here while we're talking.
Yeah. So this, I think so. I believe, at least the recap I found, they released this Werewolf by Night trailer. This is cool. I like their
I really like
thing.
that.
It's very reminiscent of the traditional CBS So this looks like it could be really neat and fun because it's so different. I mean, it's like all in black and white. It's like definitely a throwback to the old scary movies from not even before our time, really. I mean,
yeah. It's definitely like classic horror kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Disney has been doing this where they put out like a special. I mean, it's usually a cartoon,
right?
But they put out like a Halloween kind of special. So I like that they do that. Because in the past, they had the Toy Story one, which I still like, and I think they do a Lego one.
Lego Halloween, right? Was that last year?
I thought so. They did. I think they did a Lego one.
They did the Christmas one. I do remember the Christmas one.
Yeah, but there's a couple Halloween ones that they've done, and I really like it. They do that.
They did one over the summer. It was for the summer. It was like a summer special. Right.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that yet either. But so that's kind of cool. This is neat. I'm glad they're doing it. I think it's clever. I think that's a cool way to do it.
Right. It's just to have some fun, and it's a one shot type of thing. Like in the old days of comic book, you'd have a one shot. And, it was really cool or whatever, and that was it. It was one and done, and that's kind of what this is making me think of, and that's cool though. If you look carefully during this trailer, apparently you see Man-Thing at one point, and I don't know if you know who he is, but he's sort of Marvel's equivalent of Swamp Thing, I believe.
Okay.
And
I think I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like bug eyes and like a kind of like a snoot thing going on, like a root or whatever for a nose.
Okay.
I don't know if I saw a still of it. I don't even know if I've actually seen it within the context of the trailer. But I thought that was pretty neat to see that they're sneaking in some stuff like that, because he's one of those weird characters that I don't even know if he has a real following, but like you always hear people talk about it. So
yeah,
I mean. And obviously the joke sort of writes itself there, that we a man thing, but I'm just waiting to see if it pops up here on the screen, but I don't remember where it is. Anyway, maybe that was it there. I can't. I don't know. Yeah, I remember somebody took it and froze it. But anyway, we're watching it on our YouTube channel. So if you look up the Werewolf by Night trailer, you can see what we're talking about, and then you can maybe you can spot the man thing. Yeah, I think that may have been it. Maybe, I don't know. It's gone by so fast. So
yeah,
but
very
anyway,
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I like this. I'm cool. I'm glad they're doing it. It's fun.
Right. And as much as we were just saying about, there's so much content. Like this is kind of exciting because it's different and it's one episode. It's like there's not really a commitment there. It's like, oh, I'll watch this tonight and then you're done. Yeah.
Right.
So.
What else did they also have?
The next one is I can't get up on my screen, but it's Nick Fury's show.
Secret Invasion.
That's a Secret Invasion.
Yeah. Now this trailer looked pretty cool. I mean, I sort of knew what Secret Invasion was, but this trailer they make look very, very interesting, like really interesting.
Yeah. It looks. I remember I read the comics, and it was a much bigger story in the comics, like all the superheroes and stuff like that I remember. Pardon me, but this seems like it's going to be a much, at least initially, a much smaller story. Like it's going to be like, I almost get the impression that Nick Fury is like sort of figuring this out on his own. You know, they made it like sort of his story.
Right.
I could be totally wrong, but that's kind of the impression I'm getting. You know, oh, there's a War Machine.
Yeah, we see Rhodey here.
And then there's another part.
Oh, yeah, that's the guy from Black Panther,
right? Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I forget his name.
I don't remember his name either, but he's the guy. He's the flying the fighter at the end.
Yeah. And then, oh, that's interesting. I didn't pick up on him the first time I saw this. So I guess it's going to be like a lot of their, like sort of, I guess they're like, you know, spies and various agents, and kind of bringing a lot. It almost makes you wonder if there's like going to be, if they were ever going to do an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Crossover or bring some of those characters in, it would be during this, I would imagine.
Right.
But I don't. But I mean, I don't get that impression. There's been rumors that they were going to bring in Quake at some point. Daisy Johnson was her name.
Oh, really?
There's been rumors about her coming back to the MCU at some point, but I don't know if that's real rumor. I don't know if the actress is just pushing it, hoping it happens. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But
I mean, hell, you know, at this point, why not?
Right. You know, you know, I keep saying, I'm like, I keep waiting for like Coulson to turn up at some point. I mean, with the multiverse and everything. Okay, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was the multiverse. That's fine. But I mean, you know, so, you know, bring him back. Not, you know, you bring an alternate version of him back and get some leverage out of that. You know, I mean, maybe they'll do that in the Loki show. You know, maybe they'll bring him
That's
over
a good point. Yeah,
because I mean, he's the one that killed him, so it could be kind of neat to mess with him that way. You know.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What are you doing here? I killed you. You know.
You know what? I like that idea.
Yeah. Right.
Like Loki running into Coulson.
Right. That could be pretty fun, and a nice way to sort of acknowledge, I guess, I mean, because I think there are some still diehard Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, and I think it'd be a nice way to acknowledge them. Say, look, all right, it didn't quite work out. You know, everything wasn't connected, but you know, now it is. Yeah, like sort of, you know, kind of.
I never did see the end of that show.
I don't think I did either. I think they lost me after a certain point, and I mean, you know, I would keep tabs on it via, you know, online stuff. I'd see stories, but I don't think I ever watched the very end of it.
Yeah.
So, and then this was
new today, right?
Yeah, this literally came up maybe like 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. So like Ryan Reynolds releases a video, and it's like he's on Twitter, and he's like, "Oh, I've been, you know, we've been thinking about Deadpool 3, and I've been really thinking hard and trying this and that." And he's like, basically, he's like, you know, we've been trying to come up with ideas, and he looks at the camera, he's like, "I got nothing," you know. He's like, I got nothing. I don't know what to do. And in the background behind him, you see somebody walking by, and it's Hugh Jackman. He's like, "Hugh, you want to come back for Wolverine one more time?" Sure.
Cool. Nice.
And they smash to the Deadpool logo, and you see Wolverine's claws go through it, and then that's the Deadpool 3. So
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was.
I haven't seen that video yet. Somebody sent it to me, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. I was trying to link it to our deck here, but you can't link. It has to be YouTube videos. You can't do Twitter videos. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a cute little video and stuff, but it was kind of fun. So I mean, who knows? You know, I mean, so they're doing a new Deadpool movie, which is great. It's going to be in the MCU, which is going to be interesting. And now they have Hugh Jackman coming in, so it's like, well, how is this going to work? Are we? I mean, you know, at this point, it just multiverse, and that could be the end of it. You know, I mean, it's that simple. It's that simple anymore, but it still raises all those questions.
Yeah. That's there's all kinds of stuff going on there. That I'm excited about that. Like those Deadpool movies are great. I've enjoyed it, all of them. So
yeah, I keep meaning to go back and because I think they're on Disney Plus now. I keep meaning to go back and rewatch them just because they're funny. And you know, I think I saw them in the theater, but I don't know if I ever went back and rewatched any of them. So I'd like to go back and do that.
I still haven't seen Logan.
Oh,
and like the other night I was flipping. Or it was like last weekend I was flipping around and it was on and I was like, I should watch Logan.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
I got one of these days. One of these nights when everybody's doing something, I got to sit down and watch it.
Yeah, that's really good. They did a nice job with that. And the guy that directed that's the guy that's doing the new Indiana Jones movie, James Mangold. I forget what his last name is.
Oh yeah. I did hear that.
Yeah. I liked the movie itself was really good, but then I remember at the time, I don't know if I knew at the time, but I remember once they announced him for Indy 5, I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that movie. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that kind of brings us to the most current Marvel offering that we're seeing right now. So we got She-Hulk going on. I guess we're about six episodes in, and I think there's a total of 9 or 10, right?
Yeah, and when does it drop? Does it drop Wednesday night? So I think there's a new episode tomorrow.
Wednesday or Thursday. I
don't
can't
even
remember.
know. I don't even know.
Yeah, I know. We were saying before the show, it's not that I dislike it. It's that it almost feels like I have to. It almost feels like I watch it because I feel like I have to. Like it's a Marvel show, and I want to be current and everything. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it is amusing, and I do find that I like elements of it, but it's maybe the best way. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
I
feel similarly. I just this show doesn't grab me. I mean, it's not. It's entertaining. I mean, I watch it. It's not like I'm like, oh, that was the worst show ever. Like it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my issue with some of this Disney Plus stuff, and we're talking about like fatigue, and I and I think this is part of it. To me, this show, at least so far, what we've seen so far, and we're pretty deep into this show at this point. I don't know how many episodes there are.
Yeah. So say there's 10, we're at number 6. Just say,
right.
So say there's 4 more left.
I just like some of these shows, I just don't feel like there's any weight to them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's no, like, this show's fine. And there are moments when it's funny and I've laughed and it's not,
right.
I don't hate it, but
right.
I don't know why it exists. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know what the point of this, other than the fact that Disney has Disney Plus and they need to fill it with stuff.
Right.
I don't know why this show exists because it doesn't really. I don't know.
It's not. Well, for guys that came on with the MCU originally, everything was connected and everything
had weight. Everything mattered.
Everything mattered, and everything was leading towards something. Which was Infinity or Endgame. So everything was leading towards something. And this whole Phase 4 has been very, wishy-washy in that there's no end game in sight. Now finally we know that there's going to be 2 big Avengers movies down the road, but even now it's like, I was expecting stuff to start ramping up by now, and it hasn't. And then like with She-Hulk, I mean, I knew it was going to be a comedy and I knew it was going to be silly, and that's fine. But like you said, like, right, I'm always looking for, well, where is this going? And they drop in like the Hulk went to outer space, and you're
right.
Like, oh, where's he going? But that's setting something else up,
right.
And then like Wong is in there, and he that was funny and stuff. But you're like, oh, that is what's Wong doing? Oh, okay, he's done now. So, or the Abomination, or there's like different, it's just.
I almost feel like they threw like Wong is like the go-to character to, well, look, it's all connected because here's Wong.
Right. Yeah.
And because it's like, how many times has like Wong shown up randomly now?
Right. I know. Maybe that actor is very cheap.
Yeah.
What's his name? Dude, do you want to be in this movie? Yes.
Yeah. And I like Wong.
No,
don't get me wrong.
Right. Yeah.
But like, and Wong and Madison are hysterical. Like the two of them to get funny. like a Wong. We need a Wong and Madison show.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Like we were sort of talking about it, and like here, like my son was talking, and my wife and I, and we were sort of like, when it was just the films. Like you got 2 or 3 movies a year,
right.
And and it was like, and you were excited about it. You had time to get excited, to get worked up about it, and you wanted to see it, and it was, what's it all mean, and yada yada yada. And now it's just sort of like there's so much, and you don't really have any time to get excited about anything because there's something else coming immediately after that thing.
Right.
And then a lot of it has been like, it's connect, like they're throwing things in there that like connect, like they're throwing some things in there for connective tissue, but it's not like I said, like I don't know how, like there's no weight to it. Like I don't, like Ms. Marvel, and I thought Ms. Marvel was a good show, but like the only really connective thing was when Captain Marvel showed up at the end, right? Like that was
right.
And I don't know. I guess that's just where I'm at. Like I don't know how all this, like, are these, like, are Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk, are they all going to team up at some point, and that's going to be a thing? I just don't know what's happening.
I don't. Right. I'm assuming that that's maybe the goal for this. When you finally get to those Avengers movies, maybe they'll have everybody there and teaming up and everything. But like, I feel like everything has kind of become so, both in a good and a bad way. Like, there's so many different like styles going on now. Like She-Hulk is a comedy. Thor has become a comedy, and so like you're gonna have those characters. But then you're gonna, so say the big Avengers movie comes around, and then like Ant-Man is funny usually. That's more comedy. So you're gonna have like those characters, but then like I don't know. You're gonna have like Daredevil. You know what I mean? Or like some more serious characters, and it's I don't know how they're gonna. They're going so far out this way that to bring it back together for a big team up movie, it'll be interesting to see how they can pull that off, I guess is the best way to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they do that in the comics all the time. Like She-Hulk is traditionally a silly comedy based book or whatever. So, but then she does turn up in the Avengers every now and then, and I guess has a more serious adventure. So, I mean, I guess they'll do that, but there's so much content. You're not quite sure what matters, what doesn't matter. But I think you got to the point there where it's like there's no lull to absorb what happened and to get excited for what's coming next, because it's like She-Hulk's going to wrap up, and then we're going to have the Werewolf shows probably during She-Hulk, and then right after that we're going to roll right into
I'm sure I'm sure there's something. Right. Yep. Right. Black Panther.
Then Black Panthers. Yeah. That was right. So then that's going to be there, and then, I don't know.
I'm sure there's something at Christmas time. I mean,
right.
Like,
matter of fact, you know what? I could probably. Hold on, I can probably tell you here. But yeah, I mean, everything's still all right. Then we're going to go right into hold on. So Black Panther, and then then the Guardians. It's only one, but it's going to be the Guardians Christmas.
Oh,
special.
Right.
Yeah. And then What If comes back, the cartoon, and then we get Ant-Man and the Wasp in February. And so it's constant, going on and stuff. So
it's just tough. It's tough to keep up with it all. And and it's just hard to it's hard to look forward to anything because there's always something on your lap that you're behind on already,
right. That's absolutely right. We're like, you don't, there's never a chance anymore to that was a good show, or
right.
It's like, even with us, with our reviews, I mean, we'll talk about it halfway through the season or at the end, but we're like, that was really good, but next week this starts, So I'll be curious to see, how Marvel's going to handle it. I mean, if their numbers are good, I guess they're just going to keep pushing ahead with it, and maybe not space, or probably not space it out as much.
Right. I mean, I think this is it. I mean, it's just going to be one thing right after another. And then when you figure, like, we're talking about Marvel right now, but we're also Star Wars fans. They got Star Wars in there. I mean, it's just never ending.
Right.
And I guess that's the nature of streaming platforms now. It's all content.
Right.
And I don't want to be like, because, when we were kids, we just dreamed of being here, right? Where there's a new superhero show every week, but it's getting to be a little much, I have to say.
Yeah, and I think what's going to probably end up happening is we're going to start picking and choosing what to watch. You know what I mean? Like we kind of already have done it with Star Trek, where it's like, we've discovered, wow, Strange New Worlds. I really like that. Discovery, I kind of let that go. Picard, we're a little disappointed with, but there's only one more season. We'll finish that out.
Right.
And Lower Decks is a cartoon, and you're like, if I catch it,
I'll watch it when I'll watch it when I can. But
and so I think we'll end up doing that with Marvel and maybe even Star Wars to an extent. Just saying like, oh well, like this matters. I want to see this right away. Versus, like Thor. In hindsight, Thor didn't need to rush out to see Thor. It was enjoyable. I didn't particularly care for it, but it was for what it was. It was enjoyable, but didn't have to see it in the movie theater. You know what I mean? Like, and same with like She-Hulk, unless something really earth-shattering happens, could have just binged it over a weekend or something. Like didn't have to be there every week and stuff. So
right.
I'm not sure. I'm interested with Black Panther to see what they do there. That's going to be so caught up in the sort of like paying tribute to Chadwick Boseman, and I guess trying to figure out how to push that franchise itself forward, that I don't know how much that's going to matter in the big, in terms of the MCU. I don't know how much that's going to matter. I really get the impression that Ant-Man in February, Quantumania, and that's where Kang's going to show up again. I think that's going to be sort of like the kickoff to this whole. I think that's when things will start picking up. I almost feel like we're in what now, phase 4 right now?
I don't even know. I think.
Basically, I think right after Endgame until now, or until Ant-Man, I feel like it was almost like their experimental phase where they've done a bunch of different things and they've tried some stuff, and like nothing. There hasn't been a through line. There's been, like, oh, there's the multiverse, and oh, there's the Thunderbolts are forming. There's been things like that going around, but I don't know. I'm hopeful that Ant-Man will sort of be a kickoff to say like, all right, here we go.
I of course we've said that for a bunch of different movies, but I do think like it's that's the point where it's like it's you gotta where the rubber meets the road. If you're bringing Kang in, you've got to start bringing all this stuff together and making some sort of cohesive story. I think that's where I'm getting kind of lost is that it's just, it's like I said, this is not a bad show. I don't hate it.
No, right.
I'm entertained. Like I watch it and I laugh, and I think there's some funny moments and everything. I think that's just what while I'm watching it, I'm like, I'm thinking to myself in the back of my head, I don't need to watch this. Like if I missed this,
right,
it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
And I hate to think, I hate that if that's the direction they're going, right? Like that they're just doing shows to do shows. Like part of the magic of the Marvel universe is that, there is all this connection stuff. And I'm not saying that everything has to connect. Everything has to be this major thing. Like in some of those movies, it was just the end credit scene that connected it to something.
A lot, as a matter of fact, a lot of them.
A lot of it was.
But that think of the Captain America. Was it? Yeah, was it all phase 2 that they had Thanos at the end of all those and stuff, right?
I can't
remember, but I know Thanos appeared at the end of stuff. You know what I mean? And so, but it was always something to get, so it'd be, and then they would do two. One would be like, oh, here's sort of the next movie coming up, and oh, there's Thanos is out there, and so
right.
I thought at the very least, by now, especially with Kang being introduced in Loki, I thought at the very least we'd have a few more teasers with him or variants of him out there doing something, especially with Multiverse of Madness. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like they blew it there. Like they really wasted an opportunity there to, just they could have literally just had a shot of him in a chair. Well, they did that with Thanos. Like, I guess they did that with Thanos in his throne, but you know what I mean? Like it could have been literally just a shot of the guy, the actor on the set. And we would have gone nuts. Oh, okay. But it's not much. It doesn't take much.
But then in retrospect, like I think, all those movies where they were like they had the magic thing, like the cube and Loki's staff, and we didn't know then that they were Infinity Stones. We found that out later, right? So
yeah, very true.
Maybe there is groundwork here. Maybe it's all going to make sense at some point. You'll be like, oh, I see where they were going.
Yeah, it could be.
And then we'll have to eat our words. But that at this point, I don't see that happening. I just don't see any through line here. That at least in this show that matters, that makes this show a must watch,
Right.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Right. So well, even like She-Hulk and even Ms. Marvel, which was perfectly enjoyable show.
Another fight. Right.
But I'm guessing that probably could watch the Marvels movie and get caught up on
and get everything you need. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. What was it at? I'm trying to, because Hawkeye was, even that though. I mean, that introduced Kate Bishop and everything like that. But even that, like, he didn't officially hand over the reins to her yet. I mean, maybe next time she shows up, that will have happened off screen or something. But right, there's been a lot of, it's not quite filler, but it's not quite the meat. You know what I mean?
Right. Because even like the first shows that they did, like the first three, like you had WandaVision. Was it WandaVision?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's right. It was WandaVision. Then you had Loki, and you had Captain America: Winter Soldier, and Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Right.
And I feel like those three shows had weight. Right. Like the stuff that happened in those shows mattered later
within the universe, right?
Within the universe later, right? Like what happened in WandaVision directly impacts what happens in Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
And now we don't know exactly what's happening with Loki, but we know that whatever happened in Loki is important because it's going to affect stuff that's coming, right?
Yeah.
And while Captain America and Winter Soldier wasn't my favorite show, it was like that mattered. Like Sam Wilson became Captain America in that show, right? Like that matters.
Yes.
And some of this other stuff, I don't know. Like I don't know where they're headed. I don't know what this is about. Like I don't.
Maybe at the very end of She-Hulk, she's going to join the Avengers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or maybe I don't think so, but maybe so maybe there will be a payoff. But a lot of these have been like origin stories, so it's almost like phase one where you met the character,
right?
And so a lot of them have been that, but they're all missing that end credit scene where it's like, well, where are we going next? Or where's this character? Well, I take it back. I mean, Moon Knight had that end credit scene, which sort of set up that other third personality, but they haven't announced the season 2 yet. They haven't announced where he's shown up yet. So,
right. But even Moon Knight, like as much as I really liked Moon Knight, I thought that was a great show. But even that, I'm like, I don't know why. Like I thought it was really good, but and a great show. But I was like, what does this mean? What does Moon Knight mean to the universe? We don't.
Yeah.
We didn't even get a hint of it,
No, right. Where is he going to turn up at next, or where? Right. Where with all these different shows, where is it? Where is it going? I mean, is there going to be is there a magical, like with Blade? Is that going to be like much like there's the multiverse and the Thunderbolts? Is there like a magic sort of thing, or I mean, like I mean, other than the end of Eternals with Blade's voiceover, which I thought was, to be perfectly honest, terrible, because I'm like, nobody even knows who Blade is. I mean, what I mean? Like in terms of in the context of the MCU,
right.
They kind of set that up, but like, like what that was one of the few times I can think of where they were actually trying to set something up like that, but it was that
it felt like a miss, like a swing and a miss. You know,
it was very for right for all as good as they've been. That felt like a miss, right? They're like
because everybody's sort of like, well, I don't know who that guy. I don't know who either of those guys are.
Right.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I remember somebody in the theater being like, "Oh, was that Nick Fury or was that so and so?" And I'm like, "No, I read online that was Blade." Because by dumb luck, was spoiled before the movie. But I think a lot of people were like, "Who's that?" You didn't hear his voice, so you don't even know. Anyway, So hopefully, they went through. Maybe they realized because they announced the Avengers movies at Comic-Con, and then maybe they realized their mistake. Now, and maybe, or maybe not even mistake, their misstep. Maybe they realized, all right, we got to start bringing this back together a little bit.
Yeah.
So I will say that with Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania, apparently they did show a trailer of that at D23, but it hasn't been released yet.
Yes, I did hear that. Yes.
But the spoiler I heard is that Kang is in it and he turns around and he looks at Scott, Ant-Man, and he's like, "Are you an Avenger? Didn't I kill you already?"
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a neat, it really fit the character we met in Loki, and very just I kind of got like a little bit of chills for that. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, the Ant-Man's going to get serious here. Yeah. So it really made me excited and look forward to that. So I mean, maybe it's false hope, but I'm really hinging, and putting a lot of hope on that movie because I like those movies.
Yeah, they got to come through on that one. They got to come through on that one.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see,
And not for that, and I usually this does not bother me at all. It's just the last bit on She-Hulk.
Right.
Usually, this never bothers me, but I will say this: the CGI in this show is not good. I mean, it really isn't, and I don't usually complain about that. CGI stuff doesn't usually bother me. If it bothers me, it's particularly bad, right? I don't usually notice it, and this is it's shockingly bad.
I'll agree. Some scenes seem better than others, But almost the best way I can describe it is back in the earlier days of CGI, like the Uncanny Valley, when they'd have a CGI thing, but their eyes were dead. You know what I mean? There was a whole subset of movies they did for a while. They're like Polar Express and those movies where it's kind of like you look back on it, you're like, this is a freak show. You're like, there were several movies that were done in that style, and not that bad, and technology's gotten better, but you realize you're like, I'm looking at your brain's like, I'm not looking at a person. It's not fooling me. I'm looking at something. There's a disconnect there. You're like, I'm looking at something else here. Yeah,
I'm willing to suspend disbelief and get in the moment and just be like, okay, but this is not good. I mean, this is not good, right? Because there are times it's distracting in some cases, where you you're watching it and you're like, man, she just does not look good, and and then you're like, oh, what did she just say? Right? And
you're missing stuff because it's so right. It's
and I was a defender because all the people that were complaining about the CGI in the trailer, and I was like, oh, when the show comes out, it'll be fine.
It'll get better. And I know some of the stuff they did show in the trailer did get better. They went through it, but some stuff. I mean, I did whatever was it? I don't know if it was this week or last week. She was just in the office as the lawyer, and it was just I'm like at her desk. I'm like, this is hard. It was really bad.
And I mean, there are moments where she does not look good at all.
Yeah, and nothing against, and I don't know the actress's name. Nothing against her, but sometimes I'm like, if you knew it was going to be a comedy. And you knew it was going to be a Disney Plus show, it's not like the Hulk where he's in the movie for so many minutes per the entire movie. I'm like, why wouldn't you just cast a very, tall, muscular woman?
Yeah.
And all right, so maybe you don't have to paint her green anymore. Maybe you can do that in the computer. But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you try to do?
Yeah.
I don't know why they chose to go do the computer generated She-Hulk versus just have an actress there that they painted green, no matter how they painted her, but because it would seem that would have been much more, just better all across. So it's like if someone's doing because it's like you know, if someone's doing comedy and telling jokes, I feel like you have to have some kind of connection with them. And in this case, it's a lot of it's fault. I think maybe that's a good point. Is maybe that's why some of it falls flat because it's not. Some stuff is funny, but the more I think about it, I think the more stuff I find funnier with basically anybody that's not She-Hulk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when she's not She-Hulk, I find her funny and she's very engaging, Jennifer Walters. But when she's the Hulk, you know, you're kind of like, you're a little thrown off by it. So maybe that's what
she doesn't look natural at all. Like
no.
it really, I like, you know, it's like I said, like I get, you know, and I will say, all the people like, cause I think I said in an earlier show, before the show came out, I was like, oh, it'll be, you know, the when the show releases, it's going to look great. This is not what it's going to the final product.
Right.
Those people were right, man. It just didn't get any better. It really didn't.
No. And, it's a shame, you know.
Yeah, it's I'm surprised at how unpolished it is. You know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You know. I'm right. So I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I don't know if they just needed more time, more money. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think that's part of it is that I mean, look at how they're churning these shows out, and almost all of them have CGI in some fashion, form or fashion.
Yeah,
some more than others.
Yeah, anymore everything has it. You know,
right? So
anyway, yeah, I'll be curious to see. Right, it'd be neat to see, assuming She-Hulk goes on to be in other Marvel productions, movies and stuff. When say she turns up in Avengers, it'd be really neat to see how much like she could show up there and just look awesome. You know what I mean? Just because you're like they'll throw all the money at her then or whatever, or they'll have all the time to get her perfected by then. You know?
Yeah.
So
and I thought Hulk looked fine. I like the scenes that Hulk is in.
Right.
I think are fine.
Yeah, I was
it's just her. It's like I don't like maybe it's you know they already have the Hulk model set up, so maybe it's not as hard.
Kind of what I was thinking, and again I don't know. Maybe they're right. Maybe they have that all set up from the movies, and they can just bring it and insert it. Whereas her, you know, hers isn't as developed. I don't know. Yeah, you know. You don't want to, you don't, I'm obviously, I know there's people out there working very hard on this and trying to make it look good and, you know, you appreciate them, but it's like, geez, like, you know, I don't know enough about it to be like, why doesn't, you know, why, right. What happened? You know, I know you can make it look really good. But what happened?
Right. What happened here?
Yeah.
So, all right.
So, yeah. But yeah, but not for anything, and one other last thing, not for anything. We actually said the same thing about Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, but the Book of Boba Fett, it's like, you know, they went through all that trouble to make, you know, have the actor and de-age him and you know, recreate what Luke should look like and all that. But at the end of the day, I mean, just bring a different actor in. I mean, you know,
right. It's fine.
You know, bring in Mark Hamill. Make it, you know, he can be on set there and, you know, like bring him in as a consultant or, you know, whatever you have to do. But, you know, why, you know, not for anything. Like I said, even with She-Hulk, why spend all that money when you can, you know, just, you know, find a large muscular woman that you can make green, you know, or, you know, somebody looks like Mark Hamill, you know.
I think it's like I don't know if it's a Disney thing or if it's I don't know, but like, oh, now I'm getting off on a tangent. But at any rate, my point was like, look, how many Spocks have we had? How many Kirks have we had at this point?
Right.
And you know what? It's fine.
Right.
It's fine. You know, it's not. I mean, you know, it's a little disjointed at first. You're like, oh, okay, well, that's not James T. Kirk, and then the show goes on, and the show's good, and it's like that's fine.
Right.
You know,
it's right. It's like, I mean, right. I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, right. You know, but it's like, right, you're going to have a young Luke Skywalker. Well, all right, Mark Hamill's old. I mean, there's nothing against him. He played old Luke in the movies and everything.
And he was really good, but now he's too old to play that character, so somebody else should play it.
Right. So, and do what you did with like when Peter Mayhew for Chewbacca, like he was too old to run around. So they used him in the, close-ups and stuff. And then they had the new guy whose name I can't, is Swedish.
Oh,
name,
right.
Jonas or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta pass it on somehow. So I know. People get hung up on that. It was just like Black Panther. Like, well, why wouldn't you just recast him? I mean, to some people that's offensive, and I'm like, well, Black Panther was around a long time before Chadwick Boseman. Like, I don't mean to be disrespectful to him, but I'm like, just. I don't know. And
the thing is, like, it's a thing that happened, and maybe like I have a bit of a theater background. And maybe that, but that's a thing that happens in theater all the time. The original, cast of Les Mis is not the cast of Les Mis that I saw.
Right.
It was great. It was still great.
Right.
But it's, it doesn't matter, like, sure, I guess the original cast is the cast you want to see, but like, it doesn't make, the final cast any less talented than the original, and that's
right.
Like you just
well, even with like I said, with theater, there's understudies. Oh, this guy's sick today. All right, we'll bring the understudy.
Right, and it's
just
right.
The show must go on type of thing, and I don't. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting conversation to have, I guess. I mean, if I was an executive, I think I'd be. Well, how much does that cost? Well, why aren't we just? How much does
a different actor cost?
Yeah. How much him in here? What does he want? Bring him in. Anyway, right.
All right. I got off on a tangent there, but
I know, right? All right. So I guess that wraps us up on Marvel, right? We're all done.
I believe so, and I'm all out of sync on my thing.
I know we had She-Hulk in the wrong spot.
Yeah,
I jumped the gun.
Okay.
But all right, so that brings us after all of that. That brings us to Star Wars now.
Yes.
And by larger extent, Lucasfilm.
Right. So this was, and I'm trying to think here. We got a lot of there was a lot of announcements for Lucasfilm at D23. I think a lot of this we knew about.
I think
all of it we knew about.
I think so. Right.
But we did get
yes.
The big news was we got a trailer for Mandalorian. We saw that, which looked really good.
Yes, right. That looks really good. That had been leaked online after. Geez, I don't even remember now. It was at some point maybe it was from Celebration. I can't even remember now.
Yeah.
But I know it had been leaked, and I saw the leaked version. But they finally released that to the public, and it's the same thing, and it does look really good. Mando goes back to Mandalore, and. I don't know. There's all kinds of. It looks good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Right. So
we got a trailer for Willow.
Right. Which
I don't even remember the original, so I would have to go back and watch the original to see if I'm excited about this thing.
I remember seeing Willow, and I remember being disappointed back in the day.
Okay.
And so but I know some people loved it and are very excited for the new Willow. So I will say,
I'm sorry, finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, I'm going to go back and at some point I'll watch the movie and I'll check this out just to see if it's maybe something I'm misremembering or maybe it's better now. But, as of right now, we'll see.
What'd you think of the trailer? Because I watched the trailer and I was like, that doesn't look bad.
Right. It doesn't. Right. It looks interesting. It looks interesting.
Okay.
Like I said, I definitely remember though that cloud of disappointment I had from when Willow the movie came out, and so that's sort of overshadowing everything. So I do want to go. I do want to watch the movie and rewatch it, and I will check this out. I'm sure, but it's a wait and see for me.
Okay. All right. The thing that really sort of was unexpected for me. Like right. I think we knew about Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But the footage from Tales of the Jedi, like I think I remember hearing about it and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't.
Right.
But like now, like we got was it a trailer we got?
Yeah.
Yeah. And man, that looks like I like that.
Yes.
Like I thought that was really cool. Because it's like it's not a single, like I think I thought it was going to be like a single story.
Oh, okay.
And what I guess it is like little vignettes from various times, right? Is that how you're picking it up?
Yeah, literally tales of the, you know, I mean, it's just gonna be stories of various Jedi throughout the timeline, I think.
Yeah, and it's like, and we see, which I thought was really cool. We see a Padawan Qui-Gon with Dooku, which I thought was really cool.
That was yes, that was by far the thing that captured my interest the most, because it's something I didn't know I wanted. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I'm like, that's a young Dooku. That's young Qui-Gon. I'm like, oh, here's something that, as far as I'm aware of, we've never really explored. I'm sure there's books, or there were books and all that, but as far as I'm aware of, I'd like to know more about that. You know, so that looked really cool, I thought.
Well, one of my disappointments from the prequels,
right,
and like, was when they laid that groundwork that that Qui-Gon was his Padawan, or that I don't know if we knew he was a Padawan, or if we knew, I don't know, we knew they were related in some fashion.
Yeah, he trained. I think he tells Obi-Wan that he trained him, or I believe that's revealed in
Dooku trained Qui-Gon, or Qui-Gon trained Dooku? Okay. So
Dooku trained Qui-Gon.
Okay. So I remember them saying that, and I remember there's some dialogue there that Qui-Gon, and I don't remember exactly what the dialogue is, but there's some dialogue at some point that suggests that while Qui-Gon didn't believe in what Dooku was doing, he at least was sympathetic to the view he had.
Yes.
And I don't remember exact dialogue. And I was like, that I thought was a really interesting take, or a really interesting like story. But and then they just never followed up on it. And that was because it was that really interested me. I was like, I want to know more about that. You know, and then we just never found anything else. So this I'm hoping we get some of that. You know?
Yeah. Well, right, because Dooku, like, you know, okay, he turned to the dark side, but like, I think it was much more like nuanced than that. I don't think it's not like, you know, it wasn't like, oh, my eyes are going to glow and I'm a bad guy now. I think he was becoming very aware and like disillusioned with the Jedi, like, you know, like, and I think it's much more that way. Almost interestingly enough, parallel to Ahsoka, how she became disillusioned. You know, she was like, you know what I mean? And so obviously she chose just to leave, whereas Dooku chose to,
you know. Like, I think that's what I I think that's what I thought was interesting, is that it was sort of like Dooku's path. Dooku thought the Jedi were on the wrong path, and Dooku's choice was to turn to the dark side. But it was like Qui-Gon agreed that they were on the wrong path, but he didn't follow along to the dark side. Like, he found his own way. And that I just thought that's an interesting story to be told.
Yeah.
You know,
I hope that this gets into that. And I mean, if anything, I'd love to see it if there's more. You know, I don't know how long the episodes are. I don't know what they have planned, but that's something I would be very interested in, that story. You know, whether it's just an episode or whether they can take it and run with it a little bit. I mean, you know, you could probably make a little series out of that, you know, if it could support that. But yes, very much so. I would like to see that. I think that'd be something worth making a show about, you know, type of thing, you know.
Yeah. So I'm really like, so this show I'm way more interested in now than I was before.
Yeah.
We also got didn't we get Yaddle? I think we got a little Yaddle, right?
Which made me laugh and surprised me, but also grabbed my attention because I began to wonder, first of all, why Yaddle? Why bring her back of all the Jedi? Which, you know, she was in literally episode 1, and I don't think we ever saw her again. So why use her? Why bring her back? Unless there's a connection to Baby Yoda, Grogu.
Oh,
That's where my mind went. I'm like,
okay,
what, you know,
that's a good.
I'm like, you know, after all this time, you know, I mean, literally, Yaddle's secret origin is that she was a puppet they made for Yoda that didn't work. So George said, put a wig on her, and they just made her Yaddle. That's her secret origin, right? So, you know, for them to say, oh, let's use, you know, for them to choose that character, I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. Like, why, you know, wonder what the plans are there, you know? So anyway,
cool.
Yeah. And obviously at this point, more Ahsoka is always good. You know, she's become a very enjoyable character. And so,
yeah,
you know, it'll be neat if this, because you see her when she's young and all that, it'll be neat if this sort of can dovetail with her show that's coming up.
Yes.
You know, maybe draw some parallels there or something like that. So, I think they did show something from Ahsoka as well, but I believe they literally just started shooting that. So I think they may have shown something, but I don't think it was anything.
I think they didn't they announce somebody. Well, isn't somebody like added to the cast that we hadn't heard of before? So I don't remember exactly.
I don't.
It was
they
something.
did announce. Oh no! Yes, they announced some Ezra. They announced the guy that's going to be Ezra.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. Yes,
and I'm blanking on his name. And if we've.
But I saw a picture of him, and he does. I'm like, oh yeah,
yes,
that's perfect.
You're like, yeah, this guy looks good, right? It's not. I don't think it's the guy. For a while, it was the guy that played Aladdin in live action Aladdin. It was rumored that he would be Ezra, but I don't think this is the same actor. I think this is somebody different.
Yeah. But
he still looks good, and you're like, oh, that's grown up Ezra. You know what I mean?
Right. And and didn't they confirm?
Sabine is also confirmed. Yes,
yeah.
She's going to be as well.
I don't know who the actress is, but I know
right. I saw a picture and I'm like, okay, she looks good. You know.
Yeah.
So very excited for that. Let's see. Right, that's it. And then Skeleton Crew. I think they showed Jude Law. I think he came out, but I don't think they showed anything else. For that.
Yeah.
And Bad Batch is now pushed to January.
Yeah, and we didn't see anything. Did we see? Did we get a trailer for that? I don't know. I don't remember if we got a.
Jeez, I can't remember now. They did not release one at D23. There might be. I think there is something maybe floating around out there for you know, in season 2 in general. There is, but but they released. It's been out for a while now. I can't quite remember. I can't quite remember what it was.
Yeah.
But I know. I feel like Bad Batch was like supposed to be earlier this year, and then I think it was supposed to be this month, and then now it got pushed back even further.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's you know, if there's story issues or if it's just scheduling, because like we've said, there's so much that I don't know if that's more to do with it.
Well, it's like if you miss your slot, then you got 10 things to
fill it in, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they just, you know, it's probably easier just to move the one.
Yeah. So that's all I believe all the. Oh, and we're going to talk about Andor.
Yeah.
But that's most of the Star Wars stuff.
We did get. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Were you going to finish what you were doing?
Well, I was going to say we're talking about Andor at one point. What do you want to do, Indiana Jones or Andor?
Yeah, let's talk about Indiana Jones, because we got a little Indiana Jones. I don't know if we got news necessarily.
That's awesome. I love that
yeah, but we did get Harrison Ford and what is Short Round's name? I don't even know his name.
Oh, I had it called up and I think I lost it. Oh, here, you guys keep talking. I'll see if I have it called up here.
Yeah, but
here, I have it here. Ke Huy Quan. So it's Ke and then Huy Quan.
Okay. Yes.
Ke Huy Quan.
Yes.
I believe. Yeah. So anyway,
so this was really cool.
We have Indy with young Short Round, and then we have old Indy with old Short Round.
But old Short Round isn't really old, because we've recently discovered that old Short Round is the same age as we are. So I don't, you know.
So young Short Round in his prime.
That's right. He couldn't be. Yeah, he's as good as better than he's ever been right now.
There you go. Right.
So so this was really cool. I don't know that there was any news necessarily. I mean, I know that Harrison Ford came out. Yes. My understanding was at one point he was talking about Indiana Jones. He got a little choked up, which
I believe. Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
For Harrison Ford is more than shocking.
Yeah.
you know, and
sorry, but I did hear that they showed some footage.
Okay.
I could not find the leak online. I looked and I was curious, but apparently it's very just vague. I believe they showed Indiana Jones on a horse. I believe they showed something with him in. It looked. Somebody thought it was the New York subway system of some kind. And I don't know if it was him as full on Indiana Jones, or if it was just him in the subway. And I believe they show a scene from like a ticker tape parade, something like that.
Okay.
So,
and we've seen previous, like there was like set photo leaks of him, of somebody who was clearly not Harrison Ford wearing a Harrison Ford-like mask, which I would assume they're going to CGI at some point.
Yes, right. Him on the motorcycle. We did show those pictures a while back.
So it seems like there's going to be a flashback to young Indiana Jones at some point.
Maybe a spoiler. I don't know. A rumor I heard, and I kind of hope it's not true, but I heard that time travel may be an element of this movie, which if they learned anything from the Crystal Skull, I would hope it's not. But I did hear that, and so I think what I'm guessing is someone is misinterpreting a lot of flashbacks to time travel. But
I don't know why you would do it any other way for Indiana Jones.
Right. I don't know. I mean, especially after, the right. I don't know why you would introduce time travel to something. I mean, Indiana Jones, yes, there's always been magic and stuff like that, but it's always felt very,
more grounded and
maybe grounded isn't the right word, but it felt more real, I guess. Yes. Okay. Yes. Guys' faces are melting off and all that stuff. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just felt more dirty, more real, and all of a sudden they introduced the aliens or time travel or that kind of stuff. I hope that's not the case. Yeah.
Now the other thing I heard is, and I don't know if this was like confirmed at the Comic-Con or not, but Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to be a relative. My understanding, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be his daughter. I think what I heard is that it's not going to be his daughter. It's going to be like his goddaughter or something, or he's like an uncle or something like that. So she's not like a direct, she's not like a child of his.
Okay. All right.
Is what I heard. Now, whether that pans out or not, we'll see. But that's what I heard. I'm
interested to see. Everybody keeps this is obviously Harrison Ford's last outing as Indiana Jones. He's said it, and they've said that, as long as he's around, I guess there's never going to be another Indiana Jones. But they keep saying oh, who's going to take over for Indiana Jones? And most recently it was, what was her name?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Okay. So, and now everyone's saying oh, she's going to take over, and nothing against her or Shia LaBeouf, if he's even in the picture anymore. But I'm at this point, I'm kind of you know what? He's not a superhero. Why does anybody have to take over for Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
I'm kind of well, he's let him be, we don't need,
there was only one, there can only be, there could be just one Indiana Jones or something,
if after Harrison Ford passes away, if down the road you want to say, hey, let's tell more Indiana Jones stories and you want to recast him, that's fine too. But I don't, I think he is, and this movie's kind of going to prove it, but I think, Indiana Jones is in his little bubble that he has to be part of that. Once you get him out into the modern world, I don't think he's going to work as much, but hopefully though, with this new movie, hopefully they prove me wrong. I believe I think I read it 60. I think I did the math, and technically should be somewhere in the 70s, but I think this movie is going to be in the 60s.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the ticker tape parade, I believe, is going to be supposed to be the astronauts coming back from the moon.
Oh, really?
And that was 69, right?
69, yes.
Okay, so I think it might be then.
Okay, that works.
Yeah. Now I don't know if the moon's going to play into it. Again, then you've got to worry about science fiction stuff and all that. But I believe that's what I read, that the ticker tape parade is going to be sort of like the astronauts coming back, and it's supposed to be, that sort of celebration.
Right.
Whether that's a story element or a backdrop, I don't know.
Right. Okay.
So, but yeah, but I'm still excited for this. I'm very hopeful for this. I mean, I just hope I hope they learn their lesson from the Crystal Skull. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
I really want this to be. I want this to be really good. I want
Yes.
it to be a great send off for him. I don't want
Exactly,
them to
right.
look back and be like, "Oh, we really blew that one."
Yeah, right. Like, oh, right. Oh, we shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
I really
So,
hope it's. I have a lot of hope for this film, and
yeah. And as I said
uh,
earlier, James, I'm going to say his name's Mangold, but he
I think it's.
did
I think it is like Manigold or Mangold or
maybe
something like
that's it,
that. Yeah.
Manigold. He did Logan, which is very well done. And it was supposed to be, we just found out Hugh Jackman's coming back, but it was supposed to be Wolverine's like final adventure. He did something else. He's done a few other movies like that have been, exciting and fun, but that have been like sort of like, oh, I'm blanking on it, but nice end caps, I guess would be the way to say it. So I'm very
Okay.
excited for him. I'm very hopeful that this can do that. Be a nice end cap to sort of say, okay, hats off to you. That was great, type of thing.
Okay, I'm just looking at it because I had it up, so I'm looking at his some of his credits here.
So I know, yeah. I think is he Ford versus Ferrari? Did he do
Ford
that?
versus Ferrari, Logan, the Wolverine.
Oh, I didn't know he did the Wolverine. Okay.
Walk the Line.
Which one was that?
That was the Johnny Cash one.
Okay, that was really good. Okay.
Girl Interrupted, which I don't think I've ever seen.
That's old. That's with
yeah.
Angela. That's what put Angelina Jolie on the map, I think.
Yeah. So those are some of the
all right. So
some of the ones I recognize.
Yeah. So he's got some good some nice credits under his belt. So I hope it really works out. I really am excited for it, and I really hope hope it does. And I'm looking at these pictures again, and I hope Short Round can somehow make an appearance. I'd love to see him show up.
It would not surprise me if he shows up.
Even if it's a cameo.
They're saying that's not why he was there, but I would not be surprised if Short Round's in this film.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention earlier, but he is in Loki season 2. He is in that.
Yes.
He is in that. So he did have a reason to be at D23, but we're all hoping he's in. Us old timers are hoping he's actually in.
I think he shows up. I would almost be willing to bet that he shows up in some fashion.
At this point, I would go back and make a space for him. You know what I mean? I would go back and like insert him somehow, even if he wasn't in the movie. I'd be like, all right, we're having a quick cameo with him.
Maybe Short Round takes over. And he's got like a jacket with all the gadgets. With all
they merge with
they merge Short Round with Data.
He becomes an ancestor of Data.
I think that's the way to go.
That'd be actually very funny.
Yeah.
The only thing other for Indiana Jones I have to say is I heard that officially Sala is back. He'll be back.
Oh yes, well. Yeah, I did hear that. Yes.
Yeah. No word on Karen Allen, Marion, if she's back or anybody else, but definitely Sala. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I always liked him. He was always cool.
Yeah. All right. So should we just go? I know we got other stuff here. So why don't we just go to Andor?
We just had the trailer for we talked about the trailer for Tales of the Jedi. We talked about the Mando trailer, and then I think this is our last thing, right?
Yeah.
We have Andor, and the first 3 episodes dropped on Disney Plus last week. I believe tomorrow we'll get number 4 will be out tomorrow.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. So I was saying earlier, it really just to give my quick, I guess, thoughts on it. I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I am really happy that Disney chose to release them all at once because it was almost, I mean, yes, they were episodes, but it was almost like a little mini movie.
Yeah.
That by the end of it, spoiler alert, but by the end of it, he's going with the rebellion. You know what I mean? Like he goes with, and I forget the character's name. Who's
I got it here. Hang on. I got it up.
I can't even remember the actor's name either. But he goes with the guy from the rebellion, basically, at the very end. You'll get his name here in a minute. Lucian? No.
Why can't if I can't find it?
All right, I'll keep talking.
Yeah,
but yeah, so but I'm glad they did it that way because it was really well done. It was a little, and not in a bad way. It was a little slow in a good way. It took its time, and I felt like it really gave you a really like a real insight into like the world of Star Wars without stormtroopers, without Jedi, without like you just saw these poor people basically, and they're like miners, and like they're like kind of getting squeezed out by it's not even the Empire at this point. It's like basically cops that are like like rent-a-cops working for the Empire almost is kind of the impression I got. Like the but just and I really liked it. I thought it was neat, and it was really cool how they kept cutting back to his him as a young kid on his home planet, and you sort of learn like that there's like some kind of disaster. It looks like all the adults may have been killed or something. There's like only children there. I really liked it. I thought it was very well done. And initially, I heard people saying this, and I didn't pay it much mind. But apparently, this was shot with mainly on a lot of sets, and a lot.
It looks that way. Yeah, it does look.
They didn't use the volume a lot, and I you hate to say it, but I noticed it. I mean, it looked really good. I thought
it really does. It looks very good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did see somebody saying they're like this, if anything, this proves that not that the volume's bad by any means, but that if you use the volume correctly, it's very good. But if you use it incorrectly, it starts to show.
Right.
And I feel like with Book of Boba Fett to an extent, and then with Obi-Wan, you started to see through it a little bit more. And again, we were also all made aware of the technology, so it was easier to spot.
Yeah,
but I think some of the downfalls or some of the problems Obi-Wan had was a lot of it was just sand. You know what I mean? Like right. So I think a lot of it was harder to hide that. But anyway, that's a little off topic. What did you think of this? I mean, what did you the first three?
I love this show. I mean, right? I do think it was good that they dropped the 3 because I mean it is like there's an arc there that's really good, but it's just so it's a little gritty. It's a little dark, like much darker than I think any of this Star Wars stuff we've seen thus far.
Yeah, it opens up in a brothel. I mean,
right.
And speaking of like a Western, I didn't think about that, but the Westerns and the brothels and all that stuff,
it was. I really like it. It seems like it's going to be like have some. I mean, this, I like how you're seeing. It's like you're saying. It's like this is it's not pre-Empire because the Empire's in control, but this is before they've sort of seized control of everything, right? And it's like you're saying, it's like these guys aren't stormtroopers; they're pre-storm. They're sort of the guys that want to be stormtroopers, kind of thing. Right. And I don't know. I just thought it was great. Like I loved how you're seeing how and I guess this is where I'm at. Like the Empire doesn't have total control because even the people who are pro-Empire are sort of skirting around some of the rules and regulations, and there's the way people are saying things are, and there's the way they actually are, and you're seeing that in the show. And I don't know. I think it's fantastic. I wasn't. I think we both had some doubt. You're like, wow, how are they going to make this show about, this guy that was in a movie who's, spoiler alert, dies at the end of that movie. Like, how good can this show be? But I really do think they're using that character as a vehicle to sort of explain the origin of the rebellion. And I just think it's so far it's fantastic. I mean, what they've done, and I hope it continues along this path. I liked Cassian Andor in Rogue One,
right?
But here he's really, you're getting some depth to him and why he is the way he is, and where he comes from, and
well, they alluded to a lot of stuff in Rogue One that at the time they alluded to it, and it did add to his character. But now they're able to flesh it out, so it's better. It's more, what I mean? Like I purposely didn't watch Rogue One before this came on, because so when it's all done, I'll watch Rogue One just to, what I mean, just to see how I'll do that way with it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I did, based on some of the stuff they said before, I thought we were going to see. I thought it was going to be intercut a lot more with Mon Mothma and some other characters. I thought that, so much so that I think I said at one point, I think I said it on the show. I'm surprised they're still calling it Andor. I thought they may have called it like, Rise of the Rebellion right. But based on these first three, I'm like, no, this is firmly Andor's show.
Yeah.
And then later on, we'll start to see those other characters, but I think it's going to be still to an extent through his eyes. I mean, I think it'll still be, I'm guessing it's going to be, through his eyes as he goes through. He's like, oh, here's the Senator Mon Mothma. She's really important, but
right.
And then we know Saul Guerrero shows up, and so it's going to widen its scope a little bit, but I think it's still going to focus on Andor, which is really good. I think.
Yeah, it's so far I've been blown away. I wasn't expecting it to be I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I like, and I just like those first three episodes have just been, I mean, they were sort of like, I was like on the edge of my, like, especially, the first two episodes are sort of a slow burn to the third episode.
Right.
And the third episode, I was like on the edge of my seat, like the entire time,
Yeah. Right.
And, it's just, I mean, it was just really, really good. So I this may even, this is coming off of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right,
this may be the best thing they've done so far. I mean, we haven't seen the rest of the show yet.
Right.
But I'll reserve judgment. But I think this is among the best they've done. I think maybe even a little bit better than Mandalorian so far. So we'll see how it all ends and go from there. But
I think it's interesting now with Star Wars, we're starting to see, again, much like Marvel did, is starting to see like variations, whereas like Mandalorian, and it's even kind of changing, but that's a little bit more swashbuckling, a little bit more like original Star Wars, you know. And then Obi-Wan was very obviously prequel oriented, but this, and then Andor is more grounded, you could say. That, so we're seeing different styles as it's going on. So I think that's pretty neat. One of the things I really appreciated about Mando, but about this show too, is it's like, with this, Rogue One, but that's all you have to worry about, whereas like Obi-Wan, as much as I did enjoy that, parts of it, couldn't help but be like, oh wait, how's this fit in? Or like when Revo reveals that Anakin's still alive, and I'm like, oh, Obi-Wan didn't know that yet. Like you kind of forget that stuff because we've been living with this for 40 some years, what I mean? Like, so, so I do like that the show doesn't have that much baggage attached to it compared to a lot of the other stuff, even like, especially like Boba Fett and, all that stuff.
Right.
So I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm also excited. I liked, as a side note, I like the droid. I liked, B2.
I don't know what his number. Yeah, B. They kept calling it B. Something.
I think it's B2EMO. I believe his name is. I think I looked it up, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But I liked him. I thought he was neat. He was different. He was, he wasn't. He was just. It was a box, I mean, but he was very, for what it was. It was very emotive. Or I liked him.
Yeah, that he's a good character. I don't know, everybody we've met so far. Like I like the woman.
Yeah, I forget her name, but
Bex. I think her name's Bex or Bex.
Something. Because
she was great.
At first, I thought he called her Biggs, and I'm like, well, that's not right. And then I think I put on the closed caption. I saw her name was Blix or it's like BLIX or something like that. Yeah, but I liked her. She just turned up in something else the other day. After I watched Andor, she was on another show, and I'm like, how weird is this? Because I can't remember what I saw her in though. But I really liked her a lot. If I have one critique, I didn't. I thought it was her would be her boyfriend that, spoiler alert, her boyfriend that turns Andor in that gets killed, and Andor's buddy that worked in the mines with the gloves, or when he was the guy disassembling the ships.
Yeah.
They were two different actors, and I thought they looked a little bit too similar.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
at one point, I got confused. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, this is a different guy. But if I had to critique something, that's the only thing I could possibly. I have to come up with something. But once I figured that out, I'm like, all right, that's his friend. That's different. And then his friend's the one that hooked the ship, the shuttle, which reminded me of that scene from, what was it, the Blues Brothers, where it was American Graffiti, where they do that to the cop car.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, it's
no.
Good. It's Lucas's first. It's his first hit. I didn't remember the scene. Somebody online posted. They said, "Oh, look at this," and it's basically American Graffiti is a cruising movie where they're cruising around their cars, and it's like takes place over one night. But at one point in the movie, the cops they hook a tow cable to the back of a cop car, and the cop car goes to pull out to chase somebody, and it's anchored back, so it rips the rear axle off of the cop car.
Okay,
and it's very reminiscent of when he hooks the thing to the
like
shuttle.
An homage. Yeah,
because then the shuttle's taken off, but it's hooked, and then it crashes. So
that was it. That whole last episode. I mean, is the entirety of the last episode a battle? It's basically like
I think
almost the entire episode. It's because I think it starts with the troops landing, and then it goes from there.
Yeah, it's like a whole chase and battle, right? Because they have the shootout in the thing. And then then they're in the street. Oh, then they're in the streets, and the fake speeder, and then the real speeder, and then the shuttle and the thing.
Yeah.
I know what I really liked was, is their accent Irish, or is it? I don't know what they are, but the one
guard has I think it's Irish.
I think
or Scottish or something.
Maybe it keeps calling the guys lads. He's all right, lads, and whatever. I mean, he's a bad guy, but I really I liked him a lot, and I also liked the Imperial. Or no, he's not. He has a future as an Imperial. Obviously.
The pre-Imperial, yeah.
I really
that guy was. He was good. He was I didn't like the guy, but the actor did a fantastic job at that role. He really,
he's going to be a good bad guy. You know what I mean? I really liked. I liked to hate him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't. Yeah. He was really good too. Again, great, fantastic casting all around. I didn't dislike anybody. Like I said, I have my one stupid critique, but and it was neat to see the parallels between Andor's basically what became his stepmom. The woman that found him.
Yeah.
And then they kept flashing back, and you find out how she actually found them on the planet, and then, all that. And I thought that was pretty neat and stuff. And, I'm interested to find out more about her. And the Imperial guy mentioned, or no, it wasn't the Imperial guy. It was the rebel guy whose name we can't remember.
His name, I had it here. It's Luthen Rael.
Luthen. I knew it wasn't Luther. It was Luthen.
Yeah, Luthen Rael.
Right. So Luthen at one point says to Cassian that they hung his father down the town square, and that's when Cassian pulls the gun. He's like, "How do you know so much about me?" or whatever. And I read online that we don't think he was talking about his real father. We think he was talking about the man that was with his stepmom on the show.
Right.
That maybe that was his stepfather, type of father figure. That
with
he's
Marva. Right.
Marva,
right.
Yes. I'm terrible with all the names, but yes. So that's what people began to theorize, that maybe he's the one that was hung because he wasn't around in the present day.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I'm very excited to see where all this goes. It was a really, really, 3 episodes, but it was a great setup for everything. And so I believe this is definitely 10 episodes this season.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
Yeah. So, we got a few more to go, 7 more to go. And, just, and even as we were playing this trailer here,
this says, what I'm looking at says on Wikipedia says it's 12.
Oh, I think you might be right. Now that you say that, I think that's right. I remember being long compared to all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So, 12 even. At this rate, even better. Because it's that gives them more room to play. And if it looks this good, that's exciting.
Right, and then there's a time jump. So this season is this. like 5 years before, and then there's a time jump in season 2, right, where because season 2 will lead you right up into Rogue One.
Yes, that's true. I forget what the exact timing is, but
yeah,
is it season 1 takes place over the course of so many years, and then season 2 is literally like the lead up to Rogue One?
There may be a time jump in season 1, but I know, like the title, like I don't know if it was the first episode or not, but the title card, the first episode had 5 years
before the Battle of Yavin.
BYY before, or BBY before the Battle of Yavin.
Right.
Or Yavin. And so this is all taking place. But now there may be another time jump in this season at some point, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah. What's interesting is I found out today is that when they were doing the flashbacks to Cassian as a boy on this planet, apparently that flashbacks, if you go back, like in terms of timeline, that actually takes place before the Clone Wars.
Oh, really?
I guess in the show he's supposed to be like roughly, I think 35 or something like that, they said.
Okay.
And so if you subtract it back, they're like, oh, this takes place. And in our heads, the Clone Wars were a long time ago, but somebody was, and it was confirmed on, I think Lucasfilm's website confirmed it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's just, as the, in our minds, everything was so, that was so long, there's such a huge gap. And then now you're beginning to realize, wasn't that long between Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars.
Yeah. Right. On the shuttle, when they were finding all the like bodies, the crash shuttle, when he was a kid.
Yes.
And their skin was yellow. Was that a thing, or is that just how they are? Are they just aliens, or?
I took it to be that there's something in the air that poisoned them.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Because they all had those masks, but all their masks were kind of off, and then they had that like yellow stuff on them. Like, so I kind of was thinking,
because Marva had when she picked Cassian up, she had a mask, but she wasn't wearing it. It was just kind of hanging.
Oh, right.
She had a mask on.
Yeah, and I think she said to the other guy, like, "Oh, you don't need that," or something.
Huh.
I can't. I didn't. I didn't get that far, I guess. But I do remember thinking, like, "Oh, something must have poisoned them or something."
That's kind of what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure if it was.
And then I was thinking, because there was some kind of, they said there was a disaster on the planet, that the planet was abandoned.
Yes.
Like a mining accident. So I thought maybe the air was poisonous, but these kids somehow were able to survive.
Okay.
But now with Marva being there, I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out. I'm not sure why she can breathe the air and all these people, all the people on the shuttle actually died.
Right. I don't know. I guess we'll find out more. But I just wanted to. I was like, am I just seeing this right? Or
I know.
I wasn't sure.
It's a good question, especially with dealing with aliens and stuff. You're like, are they just supposed to be? You're like, are they just yellow people?
Right. I mean,
you're like, that's a little lazy. Really, really looking forward to the rest of Andor and
this is great.
Yeah.
This show is really, really good. Now it's week. I know they dropped the first 3 episodes, but now it's weekly from here on out, right? Okay.
From here on, yes. So, So now wait a minute. Now, is this? Yeah, we just said right Wednesdays. This will be Wednesdays, right?
Okay.
So so tomorrow. So tonight to tomorrow, there should be a new one by tomorrow. Then.
Yeah, there's one. Okay, here actually I have the dates here. September 28th, October 5th, October 12th, October 19th. So it looks like it's every week until November 23rd, which I guess is
Thanksgiving week.
Thanksgiving,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool then. Okay, good. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think while all that's going on, and that's interesting. Here, let me see here. I have another thing here. I think. So that Tales of the Jedi show comes out October 26th. So that'll be, that'll be while Andor is going on. So that's interesting.
Oh, it's that early?
That's what this website says. IGN says October 26th.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know it was coming that soon.
Yeah. And then, right, and then the Bad Batch is not till January, and then Mando season 3 it just says 2023. I think that's going to be January, February. So, you know what I mean? So it's that's interesting that they're doubling up. Like we were saying, everything's usually it's one after the other, but now they're great. Now they're doubling up on stuff. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I have to say, you know, as kind of, you know, we're just talking about Marvel and how we're kind of like, I don't know how it all as sort of humdrum as some of that stuff has been. Star Wars has been hitting it out of the park on TV, right? Like the movies had their issues, but
right. And
the television stuff has been great.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of the movies, the that what was it, Rogue Squadron, that Patty Jenkins, the Wonder Woman director, that's apparently gone.
It's done. It's done.
You know, which I can't. I mean, you know, that's fine. You know what I mean. If I have no idea where the time period was going to be for that or whatever, and I knew it was going to be about X-wing pilots, and you're like, well, that could be cool. But Rogue One has such, for the expanded universe guys, has such a connection to Wedge and those pilots, because there's all these books and comics and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I never got into, but people were into that. And when they announced the movie, I'm like, ooh, this is not going to go over well, because I think there was going to be it's going to be something different like that. So I wasn't disappointed to hear that the movie, you know,
and maybe it's part of it is, you know, Top Gun came they were going to make it a pilot movie, in the Star Wars universe. Maybe they were just sort of like, I don't know, Top Gun just came out. I don't know if it would work. We may eventually see it at some point.
I'm sure. If anything, it seems like Star Wars definitely will take something and just be like, well, let's set this over here for a little while. And then it comes back in some other capacity. So it wouldn't surprise me, but personally, I could see them being like, we're going to throw all this money at a movie that has no, there's, you know, other than slapping Star Wars on it. I mean, it's gonna be X-wing fighters and all that, but you're like, it's a big risk. I mean, you know, maybe they're thinking like, well, maybe we can make this a TV show, or maybe we'll do this later. You know, maybe we can introduce these characters somewhere else, and then, you know, then launch them into a movie. I don't know.
I think it's because I do think it's worth noting that both at San Diego Comic-Con and at D23, while there's a lot of Star Wars announcements about things that are coming, we still haven't heard anything about a film.
No,
right?
Nothing. Right.
And it's like the films are, it's almost like they're like, you know what? This is working. We're just going to stick with this.
That's definitely what I think.
You know, if we can come up with a good idea for a movie, we'll do that. But like,
I mean, at this rate, I would assume or think that like logic would say, if it were me, I think I would say, well, let's spin Mandalorian off into his own movies now. You know what I mean? Like, because that's a hit, and it's like, all right, well, what's the next step? Well, let's start giving him some movies, you know, and maybe that's where all that's going to head. Maybe they're going to try to build all those up and start doing movies over there, or you know, something like that. But I mean, like, this list I've here, there was like Rogue Squadron got canceled as far as we know. Taika Waititi is supposed to have a movie, but I mean, you haven't heard much about that. And then, not for anything, but Thor didn't do well, and so now, I mean, the way, you know, good or bad, Kathleen Kennedy, she doesn't seem to tolerate much, and so she might be like, oh, you're done. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Kevin Feige is supposed to be producing some kind of Star Wars movie. We haven't heard much about that.
Remember the Game of Thrones guys were supposed to be doing a movie, but whatever happened to that? So
I think after the last season, I think that nobody ever said anything, but I think it got pulled. Because then they had some huge Netflix deal apparently, and I don't think they've produced anything for Netflix
for that either. It's like, this guy's just can't, you know.
So I don't know if they're just totally laying low, if they're just hanging out with their bag of money. I mean, maybe they're working really hard on something. I don't know, but you know, to this day, I still want to tell all of what the hell happened with
season
8. Like, how could you blow something like that? You know? And then Ryan Johnson has a trilogy that's, it's still out there somewhere, but they haven't officially canceled it. I'm not sure what's
He
wrong with
keeps coming, like every now and then he pops up and it's like, I'm still doing it. And then he disappears again for months,
Right.
and it's like, I'm still doing it.
Yeah, he's got that whole Knives Out thing now, and he's got a new movie. I think it's going to be on Netflix. He's got Netflix cut him a huge deal for all these mystery movies now. So I mean, he's busy and he's got a whole career over there. So I mean, the guy's not a bad filmmaker. It's just, it just The Last Jedi just didn't. It just was, it just didn't fit. It wasn't right.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before. So it's like if he were to come in with his own trilogy and had his own thing. Oh, maybe
right. I think that's where right. That's kind of where I think if he, because I know I think if he had been given his own thing, and just be like, you do your own thing over here, and it was not part of the trilogy.
Right.
I think it would have been fine. But he, it was sort of like he just so totally derailed. Whether you love that movie or hate it, you can't. I don't know that you can really argue that it was a total departure from what the Force Awakens set up.
Right.
Now there's some people who like, oh well, that's what I wanted. I wanted a total departure. But I think when you're doing a trilogy, you can't.
Right.
You can't go off on like some tangent like that. It's,
and a lot of it was like. Like everybody was, a lot of people, I never had a problem with Luke, but a lot of people were so upset with Luke.
Yeah.
But I feel like The Force Awakens did set up that, like at the one point, Han's like, I don't know, he went off to find the first temple and he
yeah.
And then the more like, I kind of sympathize with him because it's like with Rian Johnson, because it's like, well, what was Luke doing over here that he couldn't come save his friend? Like, all hell's breaking loose and Luke's hiding on the island. Like, so his solution basically was like, oh, he cut himself off from the Force. He just gave up because what else could he be doing? Oh, he's over here, oh yeah, he's just hanging out. You know what I mean? Like why wasn't he in the movie? So as much as out of all those movies, I like The Force Awakens the best, but the more you look at the three movies, I always go back to The Force Awakens, and I think that's where a lot of
right. It was like the genesis of the problem,
right?
And how that problem was dealt with was not great,
right? Exactly. Like it's like, all right, if you're going to set all this stuff up again, and this goes up to, I mean, whether it was JJ or Kathleen Kennedy, it's like, all right, why is Luke on the island? Like, hey JJ, you're the co-writer and Lawrence Kasdan, why do you guys think Luke's on the island?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, like maybe you should have thought of that before, like, if that wasn't thought of, maybe you should have thought of it,
Yeah.
And then same step with once Last Jedi rolls around, all right, we're gonna kill Snoke. That's great. What's the plan?
Right.
It's like, somehow Palpatine returned, like it's become a joke now, but it's like, well, I didn't have a problem. I thought it was pretty cool they killed Snoke because I didn't expect it. And I thought that was neat. But then I'm like, there's no plan. Like, well, all right, well, you're gonna kill him. But so then they panic and bring the Emperor back. But it's like, well, wouldn't it have been really cool if Kylo Ren was the bad guy the last movie? And I'd love to see somebody at some point ask Rian Johnson, when enough time has passed, if you had come back after The Last Jedi, what would you have done?
Right.
Because he said basically, JJ set all this stuff up. Rian Johnson came in, did his movie, which kind of did it, and then but by the end of it, he had set up a bunch of his own stuff, and then JJ came in and just kind of tried to just fix everything,
sort it all out, right.
And I would have loved to just see, like, well, what was your plan? What would you have thought everybody would do?
Right, and then it was complicated by the fact that, because I do think Carrie Fisher was supposed to be a much larger part of that film, and then it was complicated by the fact she died. And,
yes,
so I think that helped to, so it just sort of, there were a lot of things. I do like, I know, like, a lot of people are like, oh, Last Jedi was a really well made, like it was a beautifully shot movie, and I do agree with that. Like the movie is gorgeous. You know, I just think that there's a lot of plot issues with that. There's a lot of character issues, there's a lot of plot issues, and it's like you said. Like I thought the stuff, and I've always said this: the stuff with Kylo Ren, the stuff with Rey, and the stuff with Luke were really well done.
Yeah,
I thought, I know some people like hate how Luke died. I didn't. I thought that was fine. I mean, I didn't love it. I don't know that I would have picked that myself, but I didn't think it was awful.
Right.
I didn't really have a problem with that. It was a lot of the other stuff that I had a problem with.
Yeah.
How Poe was dealt with, how Finn was dealt with. I just that stuff I just didn't think. The whole slow speed chase, like that.
Yes.
All of those. That's the stuff I had an issue with.
Right. And I'm with you 100%. It's funny that I always go back to that stupid everything, like you just said, everything you just mentioned is all I have problems with all that. I always go back to the slow speed chase because back in the day, every time they would interview George, he was like, well, I like speed. And, first movie we did the trench run, and now we're going to switch it up with the speeder bikes. And, we're going to have this, we're going to add trees to the trench, and they're going to be zipping around, and, even the snow speeders. And so he was always about that, like in all the movies. And then in this movie, it's like, oh, we're going to run out of gas. Like, I mean, it was just like, it was so anti-Star Wars. It was so and
it was so, I'm sorry, go finish your thought.
I was just going to say, I know he was, I'm blanking on what he always said that he was, defying expectations, but what do you call it? What do you call that? Oh, geez.
I don't know.
I don't know where you're going. Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit this because I just blanked that totally. Defying expectation. He's always, you think the movie's going to go one way, subversive, or
subverting expectations.
Subverting expectations.
Okay.
That's right. You think it's going to go this way, and then it goes that way. And that's what he, like every time in the movie. Oh, you think it's going to be this big speed chase? No, it's going to be slow.
Yeah.
You think, Snoke's going to live, he dies. You think, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff. You think Finn at the very end, Finn's going to kill himself to save the day. Nope. He gets saved and he doesn't. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I blanked out. I forgot where I was going with that.
That's all right. It's all good. So anyway, but the point is that I just think, the Star Wars stuff on Disney Plus has been really good. Like,
yes.
I'm trying to think, was there anything
other than Book of Boba Fett?
Book of Boba Fett was not
everything else
fantastic.
Everything else has been really good. I mean, in hindsight, Book of Boba Fett wasn't good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I liked the Mandalorian episodes. I thought they were great, but like, in hindsight, it very much was like there was a kernel of an idea there, and I think they jumped on it because they were excited for more content for Disney Plus, and they probably should have baked it a little bit longer.
Definitely. They just didn't. It suffers a little bit from what She-Hulk is, which is like, why am I watching this? Why?
Right.
What is?
Yeah. You're like, all right, this is kind of cool. There's some cool scenery. Hey, look, the Sarlacc pit again, and
there's some nice nostalgia and all that kind of stuff, but it's just like, why is this? Why did we do this?
Right. I would have much rather, and again, it's all in hindsight, but if he had just called it Mandalorian season 3, right, and taken Boba Fett and taken those 2 Mando episodes and intercut them with the rest of the Mandalorian adventure, and had them all come together at the end. All right, I think that would have been a better, because Boba was already a supporting character in Mandalorian, so I think that would have worked better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I don't think we would have been like, what the hell's going on here as much.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. With Boba, we may have been like, wow, this Boba Fett cut storyline's a little lame, but
Well, I just always think like the very last episode at the end when he's walking and he's like, I don't think we're cut out for this. And I'm like, dude, I could have told you that like 6 episodes ago.
Right. Right.
So,
yeah, I don't think I want this. Nobody wanted this.
Right.
We want to see you go, we want to see you be a badass again.
Right.
I know.
So anyway.
I know, right? So
But-
and interestingly enough, they did not announce a Boba Fett season 2. So I'm curious.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I'm assuming he'll get folded back into the Mandalorian.
Right, and that's fine, right? Like
maybe they learn their lesson. Maybe they'll say, you know what, we'll just tell Boba's story as part of Mando.
They should have they should have had like a Boba Fett story in the middle of a Mandalorian season. That's what they should have done.
Right.
The one episode that gives his backstory.
Right. They could have done one episode, even if they could have done.
And that's
one
all
episode,
I needed. You know,
right? Really, they could have given really right. They could have given one episode. Like, here's how I got out of the pit. Boom.
Right.
We all would have been happy. But so say even if they did 2, Mandalorian season 3 interlude, and it's like, here's Boba Fett getting out of the pit. Here's him trying to take over for Jabba. Why? If they chose to still do that. But I mean, that literally could have been an episode. You know what I mean? So anyway.
All right.
So
Andor. Yeah, we better wrap it up. But Andor is great. I'm looking forward to it. Check it out tomorrow. New episode drops tomorrow night. Check it out. And enjoy, because I think this is great. This show.
Yeah, very much so. Very much looking forward to the rest of this. So
yeah,
very excited.
All right, we good? We caught up for the moment?
I think as of right now, we're caught up.
All right. Hopefully, it won't be a month and a half the next time.
I know, right?
Again, my fault. That was my fault.
It's all good.
All right. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap up the show tonight. Check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. We're at Geek Hangout Pod. We're recording this, and you can watch us on YouTube. We're getting quite a few YouTube videos views on the other one.
Oh,
so
good.
check us out on YouTube. And with that, I'm gonna wrap it up. Leave us reviews. We need reviews, and if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe and give us a thumbs up.
What do they say? Smash that bell.
Smash that bell. There you go. Nice one.
There you go.
I think we're stealing that from somebody, but that's all right.
I'm sure.
All right, everybody. Thanks again, and we will talk to you next time. Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.